So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, give the like button a smash. I really appreciate your support over the last week or so, a week or 2 weeks. And not just last 2 weeks, but since I've been on YouTube. Appreciate it. I asked you guys like a week or two ago to start smashing that like button, and the response has been great. Like every video, the likes have been up. So I really appreciate everyone that's smashing the like button. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well, because if you haven't subscribed, you aren't going to get the notifications. Smash that like button, guys. Smash that like button. The more of you smash that like button, the more the videos get recommended, the bigger it gets. So yeah, I'd appreciate you smashing that like button. So now moving on to the topic. Eddie Hearns made some interesting comments. I want to give a shout out to one of my subscribers, Anumia, who basically, you know, left a comment in the comment section. I can't remember, was it the Laura Warrington video that I did or the Conor Benn video? I can't remember. He basically said that Eddie Hearns said that he's willing to pay Khan more money to fight Conor Benn than Kell Brook. So basically, whatever Khan gets offered to fight Kell Brook, Eddie Hearns would match it, if not pay him more than that. That's what Eddie Hearns saying. So he'd basically pay him whatever he gets paid to fight Kell Brook, right? To fight Conor Benn instead. Amir Khan's at the stage of his career now where it's about, is it really about legacy? Probably not. I think having a win on his record against Kell Brook, even though I don't think he's going to get the credit that he would have done 5-6 years ago, I still think appeals to him rather than fighting Conor Benn. Because if he beats Conor Benn, what does that really do for him? It doesn't really do anything for him in the future, unless Conor Benn goes on to have a stellar career and goes on to, you know, have a successful career, which, you know, in the welterweight division is very, very debatable, because how strong the division is and what's coming through in that division. I personally think that Amir Khan's not going to fight Conor Benn. I think he's going to go for the Kell Brook fight. But if Eddie Hearns offers him a bag load of money, maybe more than the Brook fight, then maybe Amir Khan will consider it. I don't know. It's a tricky one. And I think what Eddie Hearns and Conor Benn are trying to do, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to build Conor Benn's profile. They know how big that fight would be. Eddie Hearns wants to put on big fights, and that would be a big fight in terms of profile, in terms of the hype around that fight. It'd be a big fight, and that's what Eddie Hearns is doing. That's why Eddie Hearns is probably willing to pay a lot of money. It's a bigger fight financially for Eddie Hearns in terms of subscribers, gaining subscribers, than a Broner fight. Also, I think because Amir Khan's got the tag of being chinny, I think what Eddie Hearns is thinking from a career building point of view is that some of the top fighters up there, like some of the top fighters, you know, like your Broners, for example, even though I think Amir Khan would beat Broner at this stage, and I actually think Broner would be an easier fight for Benn than Amir Khan, because Broner doesn't throw any punches. I think we'll all agree on that. Broner don't really let his hands go. Amir Khan will let his hands go, and that's dangerous for Benn, because a lot of the guys that Benn's been fighting have no offensive ability. They've got no power. They've got no offensive skills. Like Vargas, yeah, I know Vargas. He took Vargas. I actually think Vargas would have been a tougher fight than Granados. It's just that he ended up taking Vargas out early. Granados doesn't have great offensive ability, and even he made Conor Benn miss so much in that fight. But offensively, he had no power. He didn't really have a lot about him going, you know, in terms of his offense. Offensively, Granados, yeah, defensively, he made him miss a few times, but he just didn't have anything to deter Conor Benn with. I think Amir Khan would be a huge problem. Going off his performance against Granados, I personally think even if Amir Khan has anything left, like I'm talking even 50%, and he comes in shape and he's got that same mental desire, which he may have because it will be a big British fight, I don't see Conor Benn. I don't see, like, unless, like my brother was saying, that maybe one of those wild swings that he throws lands on him and he goes down, possibly. But if I'm totally honest with you, even at this stage in Amir Khan's career, going off what I just saw against Granados, I would like before this fight, I was actually favouring Ben because I thought Amir's kind of past his best and Ben looks kind of dangerous. And I still think Ben would be dangerous, but I think he's wild. I think he's really, really wild, and he telegraphs his punches, and you can see. And I feel like he's like a polished version of. He fights a little bit like O'Hara Davis for me. You know, same kind of like the way he plods forward, the way he throws his overhand right. There's a little bit of similarity there for me. You know, and I don't know. Listen, he's obviously O'Hara. We obviously saw O'Hara Davis against Josh Taylor, someone that was technically sound. It's going to be interesting to see when Conor Benn comes up against someone technically sound that's a good boxer with that kind of fighting style. I think he could really outbox Conor Benn quite comfortably as well. Like if he comes up against someone like a technical boxer, like just say an Ugas, for example, I think Ugas would school him. Someone like that just boxes and just uses his, you know, boxing. You know, there was times in that fight where I saw Conor Benn throw a left hook and his whole body spun around. You know, but again, it all comes down to what Amir Khan's got left. I don't know. This is why I think it's an intriguing matchup, because I don't really know what Amir Khan's got left, because he hasn't fought for 2 years. And yeah, he hasn't fought for a long time, so we don't really know what he's got left. But if he's got anything left, I think it's a very dangerous fight for Conor Benn, especially going on that performance, because I actually think Amir Khan would like fighters like Conor Benn that come forward wildly. And he's not even that quick with his feet, Conor Benn. If you watch this fight against Granados, he's not even that quick with his feet. So what Eddie Hearns looking at, Eddie Hearns thinking at it from a promotional standpoint, that he's looking at it that Amir Khan's a big name here in the UK, right? It'll be a big fight. People will tune in. And Conor Benn's got nowhere to go. And what I mean by that is, wherever he goes now, it's going to be a tough fight. So Eddie Hearns probably thinking, yeah, he could lose to Khan, and it's a risk. I don't personally think Tony Sims is going to want that fight in December. Although Eddie Hearns has said that he's willing to put him in with Amir Khan in December, I don't think that Tony Sims is going to probably want that fight. Because from what I saw Tony Sims say a couple months ago, or after the Vargas fight, he clearly said that Conor Benn needs 2 or 3 more fights before those level of fights. So is he going to want a fight with, and then after that performance, is he going to be confident after that, Tony Sims? I'm not so sure. So is it a case where Eddie Hearns willing to roll the dice? But it seems very desperate. It seems very desperate to. It seems very, very desperate. Seems very desperate from Eddie Hearns to say that, you know, he's going to be willing to pay Amir Khan anything to get, like, basically, we don't know. He might get 5-6 million to fight Brook. Who knows? I don't know what exactly the purse would be. But if Eddie Hearns going to be willing to pay him that much to fight Conor Benn, Amir Khan might just say, you know what, this kid's a novice. He throws wild punches. I'll fight him and beat him, and then fight Brook after that. Who knows? But I want to come on to Brook, because I feel sorry for Brook. And here's the thing, and this is why I feel like it's a lesson to a lot of fighters, that Kell Brook was one of Eddie Hearns' big fighters back in the day. Right? And now Kell Brook is on the verge of having the Amir Khan fight, and it'd be a good payday for Kell Brook in terms of him retiring. You know, it'd be a big payday, a good way to go out in terms of payday-wise. You know, and Eddie Hearns is basically trying to take that away from him when he knows that Amir Khan is in negotiations with Kell Brook to do that fight. Eddie Hearns is looking to make a fight with Conor Benn. And I think this is a lesson to all fighters, that no promoter is all, when you're with them and when you have a lot of financial mileage in you, everybody's your friend and everybody's like, you know, you're the best thing since sliced bread. But when you're no longer the asset you were, and you're not with that promoter, they don't care about you. They're on to the next one. And I think this is a perfect example of why Kell Brook should have gone to Al Heyman at the time he was a world champion, because Al Heyman had all the fighters, and the opportunities that Kell Brook never got, he would have been able to get. And it's a lesson, because like I said, it's Kell Brook's own fault. And now, like I said, the same guy that was promoting his career potentially could take away that payday from him. You know, he may not get, if Eddie Hearn does offer Amir Khan more money to fight Conor Benn than the Kell Brook. Now, Amir Khan might not care. Like, if Eddie Hearn offers him 6 million and he's getting 5.5 or 5 million to fight Kell Brook, Amir Khan might not care about the extra million. He may just want to fight Kell Brook. It depends on what desire Amir Khan has. Amir Khan might not have any desire to fight Conor Benn. It may be more than just the money about the Kell Brook fight. It may be looking to settle a score. You know, he may think that from a legacy standpoint, it means a lot more beating Brook than beating Conor Benn. So Amir Khan might not want the Conor Benn fight. It may not do any much for him. But it would be horrible for Kell Brook. And as you guys know, that I'm an Amir Khan fan, but I would feel sorry for Kell Brook if that fight doesn't happen because the Conor Benn fight happens. You know, I think, and to be honest, I want the Kell Brook fight to happen. If you ask me who do I rather see in fight, like, I actually think Kell Brook, going off today on Conor Benn's performance, I think Conor Benn's wild, so he could be dangerous for Amir if he catches him with those wild swings. Having said that, I think Amir Khan's very dangerous for Conor Benn, because I think offensively, Conor Benn's not been in the ring with anyone close to Khan's ability, and I think Amir could really hurt Conor Benn in that fight. And I think he could even catch him cold. You know how like Khan does in fights where he drops guys. I think he could do that to Conor Benn, and Conor Benn's never been in that situation before against someone at the level of Khan. That's a very difficult fight for Conor Benn, because I think stylistically Khan's all wrong for him. It's just whether Amir Khan's got the stamina. He's got what he once had, like his legs and arms are able to do what they did back in the day. Because, you know, we've seen fighters get beat by fighters that they shouldn't do. Like we saw David Haye, you know, when he fought Tony Bellew, you know, his body was falling apart. If Amir Khan's body's falling apart, then, you know, anyone could beat him, you know, at that particular, if that's the case. I don't think that is the case. I think he's still got something left. It's just that he can't fight at elite level anymore. In terms of, I don't think he's able to fight Crawford or Spence, but do I think he could beat Conor Benn? Yes, especially on that performance, because Amir Khan will beat Adrian Granados without question. You know, Granados doesn't present any threat to him, to be honest. You know, Granados don't have any power. Granados doesn't really have much offensive ability. I think that's the thing people are not looking at when they look at the Khan Benn fight, is that Amir Khan has a lot of offensive ability that's very dangerous for Conor Benn. So the fast hands are very, very dangerous, because Conor Benn defensively isn't the greatest. And I did notice that he was making some moves, but defensively, where he was getting out the way of Granados. But Granados was slow. One thing we know about Amir Khan, he's very fast with his hands. I think that would be a dangerous fight for Conor Benn, because I think they're looking at it that Amir Khan's old, and he never had the greatest chin back in his day either. But now he's even older, and he isn't as good as he used to be. Like the ability that he once had has definitely faded, diminished. His skills have definitely diminished. So they're looking at him, he's old, vulnerable, inactive, perfect time. But I think they're underestimating that if he has anything left, Conor Benn could get chinned. Conor Benn could get outclassed. And what I saw with Conor Benn today, if Conor Benn's getting outclassed, he's going to start becoming very wild, and he's going to leave himself open to be, you know, like I had one of my subscribers, Burning Desire. Man, I've got a lot of love for you, Burning Desire, but you said you were impressed by Conor Benn, and you think that Conor Benn would beat a prime Amir Khan. I almost spat my green tea out. When you said that. I actually put your comment in my in my, in my chat that I have with, I have a Facebook group. So Burning Desire, if you haven't joined my Facebook group, join it. But we have like a group chat where with the moderators of the Facebook group. And I put your comment in there and they started laughing. Like, beating a prime Khan. What makes you think a guy that's swinging wildly like that would beat a prime Khan? Maidana couldn't beat Amir Khan. And Maidana's levels above Conor Benn. Levels. I don't know whether you were trolling or you were being serious there, because I promise you now, Khan would destroy Conor Benn in his prime. Destroy. I'd go as far as saying destroy him. He'd do what he did to Dimitri Salita. He'll do what he did to all the other kind of fringe world level guys that he beat. He'd dismantle them. He would dismantle Conor Benn. Conor Benn's wild. You're not going to beat someone that's technically... You saw what Josh Taylor did to Orihara Davis. It'd be the same. But more devastating, because Khan's a lot more spiteful. And what I mean by that, he's a lot more aggressive than Taylor. Taylor works on the inside, but I think it would be a similar type of fight, because Khan's fundamentally a lot more sound than Conor Benn. And that's what would happen. Conor Benn would get outclassed and get stopped in that fight against a prime Khan, 25, 26-year-old Khan. Let's not forget, Khan beat guys like Devin Alexander and Louis Collazo. Absolutely took him apart. Zab Judah stopped him in 6 rounds. That was prime Khan. Conor Benn can't beat that Amir Khan. He just can't. He just can't. And I'm being not even being biased here. He can't. He can't. And you know that I'm a Amir Khan fan, but irrespective, there's guys that I know that Amir Khan couldn't beat, like Miguel Cotto, and there were certain styles like Mosley that I think would have beaten Amir Khan. But those were really, really top fighters. Conor Benn's not in that kind of class, not even close. I don't know what you saw in there that made you think that, that he could beat a prime version, because I don't think you understand how many top fighters a prime version of Amir Khan beat. I think you need to go onto BoxRec and check his record and see how many fighters he beat that were far better than Conor Benn. Far better. It's not even close. Conor Benn is a British European / level fighter at this point. He doesn't even beat David Avanesian. Conor Benn wouldn't beat David Avanesian, and a prime Amir Khan would beat David Avanesian. Let me tell you something, Burning Desire. Lamont Peterson, right? He got done for PEDs when he fought Amir Khan, right? And a lot of people thought Amir Khan beat Lamont Peterson anyway. Lamont Peterson, at the end of his career in 2018, fought David Avanesian, and he beat David Avanesian easily. And Lamont Peterson, who allegedly failed a drug test for the rematch, of course, a lot of people thought Amir Khan beat him. So that tells you what level prime Khan was operating at. And by the way, David Avanesian wouldn't beat Maidana. Maidana was a far better fighter than David Avanesian, not even close. Like I said to you, a washed-up Lamont Peterson beat David Avanesian by unanimous decision. Amir Khan lost it in his prime, when Lamont was in his prime, right? And most people thought Amir won that fight. And Lamont Peterson fought David Avanesian 8 years or 7, whenever it was, 8 years later. And David Avanesian got beat by him comfortably. So I think that shows you what level Khan was at in his prime. So to say that Conor Benn beats a prime Amir Khan, that's a really wild statement. That's a really wild statement, and I can't agree. I can't agree with that. I don't even think he has any chance, to be honest. Like, yeah, anyone has a chance, because we knew that Amir was suspect. He was suspect in terms of, he could get caught and could get hurt. But the fact of the matter is that if Maidana couldn't do it, what makes you think that Conor Benn, who's nowhere near Maidana's level, Maidana would destroy Conor Benn in 5-6 rounds? Do you honestly think this version, like being serious now, do you honestly think this version of Conor Benn beats Maidana or beats Lamont Peterson? Not a chance. Not even, like, he wouldn't even beat Kotelnik. Kotelnik would outclass Conor Benn. Easily. If Kotelnik moved up to 147, Kotelnik, the version that fought Amir Khan, would outclass. Kotelnik was a very technically good fighter. He just stylistically couldn't match. He just couldn't beat Amir Khan. But I'm telling you now, Kotelnik would have beaten Conor Benn. He was too technically sound for Conor Benn. I don't think a lot of people realize how the difference between guys at world level, like Khan, like Kotelnik, Maidan, like there's a big gulf in class. And when you step up against those guys, you see, you may look at Maidana as like Conor Benn. He's a slugger. He's wild. No, he's not. He's a lot more well-rounded. You don't win 5 rounds against Floyd Mayweather. Some people even thought the first fight was a draw if you're just a wild slugger. Can Ben win rounds against Floyd Mayweather? No, he couldn't. So the point is that Maidana had very good feet. He closed off the ring very well. He was very quick with his movement. He used to suffocate you. You know? So Ben wouldn't beat any top, like Granados isn't a top level fighter. You know, Amir Khan in his prime would have, in my opinion, would have battered Granados. It wouldn't have even been close. It would have been a mismatch, just like it was with Danny Garcia when Danny Garcia fought Granada. So I'm not going to agree with that statement. But in terms of Conor Benn, listen, he needs to improve. He needs to improve, and I think rushing him and putting him in there with somebody that's potentially dangerous is a big risk at this point. But I think the Kell Brook fight should happen. I think the Kell Brook fight should happen, to be honest with you. In terms of, Burning Desire also said that he destroys Kell Brook and Amir Khan right now. I don't think so. I think Kell Brook's got a big issue because, you know, Kell Brook's eye. I don't know what's going on there, because in the Terence Crawford fight, he got stopped by a very weird, like, it was weird what happened. You know, he was doing well and then he got caught with a jab and he just fell apart. I think you just don't know what his punch resistance is like. However, I think Brook has a lot of he has a lot of ability. He could keep Conor Benn at bay with the jab, win that fight with his jab. Brook has a very good jab. He has a very good laser right hand, which he didn't throw against Crawford. And Khan has flurry of punches. I think Conor Benn's in a situation where they're gonna have to roll the dice. And I don't know. I don't think he beats on that performance. Does he beat Avanesian? Just say, because I don't think the Khan or Brook fight's gonna happen. So I think mentioning them is irrelevant. I don't think he beats Avanesian. I don't. And just another question for you, Burning Desire. You mentioned that you think Conor Benn beats a prime Khan. So that means, in your opinion, David Avanesian would beat a prime Khan. Because for me, David Avanesian beats Conor Benn. And you even said that you think Conor Benn would give David Avanesian a good fight. But that means you think that David Avanesian would beat a prime Khan. So on what performances of David Avanesian give you the confidence that he would beat a prime Khan when he got beat by a washed up Lamont Peterson by unanimous decision, who struggled against Amir Khan, and afterwards in the rematch we saw that he failed a drugs test. So the first fight was question marks over it, and a lot of people thought Khan beat Peterson, and then Khan beat Maidana. Who has Avanesian beat on that kind of level? So again, this is what I'm trying to point out, that I think you're looking at these guys that Conor Benn's fighting, and you're getting carried away, because these guys are what these guys would have been for Amir Khan in his prime would have been journeymen. Samuel Vargas would have been a journeyman. Remember when Khan fought Samuel Vargas, he wasn't in his prime. But in Amir's prime, you know, for me, Samuel Vargas and Granados were like Carlos Molina type fighter. And we saw what Amir Khan did to Carlos Molina. That's the type of fighter that these guys were. You know, neither of them were ever world champion. You know, so Conor Benn's not really fought anybody. So I don't know what where you're getting your confidence from that he's going to do this, that, and the other. I don't know. But anyway, that's a long video. I don't want to keep rambling on. But what I wanted to point out is that I feel like Brook's it could be in trouble here, because I do think if Eddie Hearn offers Amir Khan a lot of money, Amir Khan might, you know, take the Conor Benn fight, because he may look at Conor Benn as a novice and think, this guy's wild, I can outbox him. Who knows? But leave your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.